last name? Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is much, much more popular than any guru. So is she teaching the truth? Uh, you take anybody that's popular, it can be popular at anything. It doesn't have anything to do with truth. So why would a guru be popular? It said right. Yogananda says it right in the autobiography of Yogi, uh, that Babaji keeps to himself and has few disciples. Now, why wouldn't Babaji have lots of disciples? If the popular gurus have hundreds of thousands of disciples, why wouldn't Babaji have hundreds of thousands? Why does he only have a few? It's right in the autobiography. Yogananda says he keeps to himself with a few disciples. He's not initiating vast amounts of groups of people. Why? Why is that? I would ask myself, and I have, why is it even necessary for a lot of people to be initiated? Is it necessary? For what? Why would that be important? Can you think of a reason why it would be important for a lot of people to be initiated? Then why is it propagated? Is it important? I don't think it's important at all. What's important is that I am initiated. That's what is important. Everybody else in the world, it's what's important to them should be that they're initiated, but it isn't important. What's important is that they have the best life they can have, the happiest life that they can have, the most fun that they can have, the most adventure that they can have, the most friends that they can have, the most enjoyments they can have, the fewest sicknesses, illnesses, diseases. They want to be disease-free, sickness-free, mentally at peace, mentally calm, mentally happy. They want to be popular. They want to be wealthy. They want to be able to buy the things that they want. This is what is on their minds. And of course, the opposite sex. This is what they're thinking about all the time. So, so if they start to have some interest in spirituality, there isn't a line of demarcation that says you're a worldly person and now you're a spiritual person. And you cross that line, you can go back behind that line, you're a worldly person again. You cross that line, you're a spiritual person again. It's not like that at all. It's blended, because your karma, when you start doing sadhana, your karma starts to be destroyed. It starts to be weakened and destroyed. And there's a vast network of karma of all different types: tamasic, rajasic, sattvic. And what type gets weakened and gets destroyed depends on so many different factors. But if you're practicing right sadhana, the tamasic karma is the one that gets weakened very severely and gets destroyed quite rapidly. Now that's a big accomplishment. But if you're if you're a worldly person interested in spirituality, you don't practice sadhana. You practice the circus of spirituality. You read gurus, you follow gurus, you talk to your friends about gurus. You talk to your friends about spiritual teachings, spiritual practices, meditations. Oh, there's this great guru who lives in a cave in the Himalayas and met a yeti and healed a girl of cancer. You talk about miracles, you talk about past lives, you talk about all these things, but you don't practice sadhana. This is the case with almost everybody that I've met, other than the Mahatmas I lived with and some of their disciples in the past 55, 56 years. And in present day. Now that includes everybody who's practicing Kriya Yoga now. So look at all the sources that people are receiving Kriya Yoga. Some say that they're the only path. Now, that obviously is not true. How is it even possible? Explain that to me. How is your Kriya Yoga the only Kriya Yoga? It's ridiculous. You can't even begin to explain that to me in any way whatsoever that makes sense. Anybody with a brain would know that that's not true. It's obvious that Babaji has other disciples, not very many, and that
Pranam Guruji.
that's that, and that he gave permission to Lahiri Mahasaya to give initiation only to those that are qualified, that are honest and true. And Lahiri Mahasaya initiated thousands of sincere, true disciples. And among those disciples, some of them became God realized. Now, they also would have been given permission to initiate. And their disciples also, some of them would have been given permission to initiate. So it's like all the branches and all the leaves of a tree. Some people, I've seen it, you've seen it, or they posted a lineage tree of Kriya Yoga gurus. Interesting, if you read the tree of Kriya Yoga lineage gurus, it isn't all the gurus. It's the more popular ones, doesn't it? It's the more popular ones that are better known. Are there others of the lineage of Babaji that are on this popular lineage tree that you could write on paper? Of course there is. Not everybody's going to be shown in there. And some of them that are shown in there, are they God realized? Not necessarily so. But on reflection, I found that, and this is something that'll save you a lot of trouble and a lot of time. Any spiritual advice, any spiritual truth about any spiritual practice, we're interested in Kriya Yoga or the practice of knowledge. Don't believe anything that anybody says, because 99.9% of it is not going to be true. Don't believe any of them. If it's true, and if you're contemplating on it, the truth will come out of it. If somebody's true, if what they're saying is true, the truth will make itself known to you. It might not make itself known to you that day, but it will make itself known to you. It'll take a little hold of your mind, and it'll start to open up and awaken your mind. You'll start to see, oh, this is true. Swami Vivekananda, his first initial meeting with Ramakrishna, who was an avatar, was very skeptical, very doubtful, and he thought he was crazy. Do you know what it's like when you think that somebody's crazy? Most people have never met a real crazy person. Because I've been in a mental institution, I know what real crazy people are like, and they are crazy. So he thought Ramakrishna was crazy. He acted like he was crazy, but he was an avatar. Can you go to a book that's going to define an avatar? What an avatar is going to look like this. An avatar is going to act like this. Going to talk like this. It's going to say this and this and that. No. What about Kriya Yoga? Is a Kriya Yoga guru? How will I be able to know that he's a guru? Or are there any Kriya Yoga gurus? Self-Realization Fellowship says that there are no gurus, that Yogananda was the last one. Now,
But Guruji,
that's true. It's true for Self-Realization Fellowship. They don't. The last guru was Yogananda. There is no other guru after Yogananda. Yes, Sujata.
no, I was thinking when you say avatar, I think in the scriptures they mention the characteristics of an avatar, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's why they also asked many pundits of the time to come and see and assess Sri Ramakrishna on those criteria.
Well, there are. Can you hear me? Is it coming through?
Yes.
Uh, I've read many people, and also in scriptures, speak of the. Does this sound better, or is it not as good? Better. Speak of the characteristics of a Paramahansa. One is sometimes they don't have a shadow. Sometimes they don't leave a footprint. This is said. Okay, well, there could be many things that a avatar exhibits as a possibility. Are you going to gauge that person by these uh, certain signs? Well, out of all the signs, which ones would be the most important signs? The most important signs of an avatar would be uh, uh, not that they don't have a shadow or that they're not, if they don't have a footprint. The most important signs would be the most difficult things that ordinary human beings cannot exhibit. And what is that? Complete, total selflessness. Complete and total. That's what an avatar exhibits. No self-concern whatsoever for themselves. And I mean zero, none. Uh, they're not particularly interested in your health because they see you as Atma, they see you as soul. They see your life as it is, which is just a blip on the radar. It's just your the span of your life is just a tiny fragment of life. And so whatever you experience in life is not important. This is what they say. So they don't spend a lot of time counseling you on oh, you should do this or you should do that, or oh, it's a terrible thing that happened to you. I understand your frustration, and or you should behave this way or you should behave that way. They don't spend a lot of time on externals. For a certain disciple, they might mention some external. Uh, it's for that disciple to change the method of what they're doing, but they don't put a lot of importance on it. An avatar, this is another good way to judge an avatar, is they uh, don't make it about themselves because there is nothing about themselves that they see important. They see everything as God, and they don't see themselves as having a personal uh, uh, entity of themselves. They identify with God. Um, so they don't prop themselves up. They don't present themselves as come to me. Uh, you need to come to me for your salvation. I'm the avatar. I have the power. I have the bliss. I can give you all these gifts. I can give you this. I can give you that. An avatar doesn't say that because an avatar knows that all those things you already have. You just need to be aware of it. They awaken your awareness. It's not awareness about them. It's your own inner awareness. This is what they help reveal. Has nothing to do with them other than this one thing, this most important thing, is that you have to be elevated enough in spiritual evolution to recognize that every occurrence on this earth in your life is unimportant. You can't take anything with you whatsoever. You're born with nothing, you leave with nothing. So why put so much importance on anything that happens in life, the greatest things and the worst things? But we still continue to feel terrible when something bad happens to us and feel elated when something good happens to us. Well, something good happens to us. It's just a matter of time that it's going to be taken away or something bad is going to happen to us. And if something bad happens to us, it's just a matter of time before something the bad goes away and something good is going to happen to us. And if we had a large scope of vision, we could see that all the bad things are have good in them. Everything bad is also good. Uh, I can't think of anything in my life bad that's ever happened to me, ever. Nothing in the entirety of my life. Uh, in my youth, middle age, uh, going into older, uh, I never had any physical problems. Zero, never, never had a one. Uh, Now I've had some physical problems. So what? That's what happens when people get older. Uh, am I going to try to be young forever? Why would it be? It's natural to be older. When you're a baby, you want to be older. When you're a child, you want to be older. When you're a teenager, you want to be an adult. Uh, Many adults want to be an older person so they can retire and just enjoy their family. Uh, so everybody likes something that's coming. Well, what about what you have right now? So a true Satguru talks about that and helps you see that by taking your mind, taking the direction of your mind off of miracles. Doesn't display miracles. Miracles put your mind externally. They externalize your awareness. They don't put any emphasis on themselves. Now, because they are selfless, there's a phenomena that your soul is attracted to selflessness because you've never met selflessness before. That's what you want. You've always wanted it. What you want is you want love. Everybody wants it. Everybody wants somebody to recognize them, to love them, to understand them. And nobody does. Some try, but nobody does. Sometimes we'll have a period of time with a lover or with a mother or with an aunt and uncle or a good friend with something that's going to come along and diminish it at one time, or they're going to leave the earth. It's not going to be sustained. There's only one love, selfless love, that's fully, wholly, and completely concerned only about you forever. Even after the death of their body, it still continues because it starts in the eternal, in the soul. Death of the body doesn't change that. It continues with the soul, with you afterwards. Um, so I hear lots of debates who's an avatar, who's a perfect master, who's more highly developed. I hear a lot of talk about that. Some say Ramana Maharishi is the most developed. Some say that there's a particular disciple of Ramana Maharishi who's more developed than he is. Uh, some say that Yogananda is the most developed. He's actually an avatar. Uh, this discussion that he's an avatar by some came after he left his body. How has it changed anything? Has it made any difference? So he's a Paramahansa. He says, I'm a Paramahansa. He leaves his body, and then some start saying that he's an avatar. And so in a private conversation, he told me that he was an avatar. So then everybody whispers everybody is an avatar. Now everybody believes he's an avatar, and nobody's been improved by it at all. How have they been improved in Kriya Yoga? One iota, because you think that he's an avatar. What difference does it make? Uh, you would have had the most benefit if you had been with Yogananda while he was alive. Nobody can doubt that. I don't doubt it. I know it's true. Uh, I was on Earth, and Yogananda was on Earth at the same time for a short period of time, but I didn't meet him in person. Ideally, it would have been best to have met him in person. I don't sugarcoat it for myself to make myself feel better. I wasn't with him in person. Others were, and many that were squandered the opportunity. didn't make the most of the opportunity, or didn't give attention to the opportunity, didn't follow his directions, didn't follow his teachings to the fullest, to the best of their ability. And you can say that with any avatar, any saint, any guru. It would have been best if you had been there with them in person. It's always to have personal direction. There's nothing better than that. We can read books about Yogananda after he left his body. We can hear stories of some of his disciples, but we didn't have the opportunity to meet him in person. And in those conversations, I don't participate in these conversations. I overhear them. They say, well, maybe we were with him in our past life. So that, and they say, oh yeah, well, maybe we were with him in his past life. And that makes them feel better. But what difference does that make? Let's say you were with him in your past life. What difference does it make? What are you doing right now in this present life? But this is all called the spiritual circus. This is what occupies a person's mind rather than diving deep into sadhana. Sadhana is an abandonment of self-thinking, of self-reflection on your life. You can reflect on your life. Are you going in the right direction? But there should be no reflection on your life as far as what is happening to me. Something bad is happening to me. Something painful is happening to me. Somebody has betrayed me is very popular because everybody gets betrayed. Every single person. I don't know anybody who hasn't been betrayed. It's part of life. People betray you. So why should we be spared a betrayal? I'm amazed at betrayals and how incredibly mean and hurtful they can be. That amazes me how anybody can be mean and hurtful. Just like I couldn't imagine physically harming somebody, but people do it all the time. People betray people all the time. Who is there to really trust? You could only really trust somebody who's completely, totally, and absolutely selfless, and their only concern is you. They have great concern for you. Your life is important to them. Your existence is important to them. Your spiritual practice is important to them. That's a true guru. Now, what his name is, what does it matter? Is he a perfect master? Is he a Satguru? Is he an avatar? Is he a Mahatma? Is he a sadhu? Well, apparently Babaji didn't think it was very important at all. He asked to be referred to as Babaji. Babaji is the most simplest term that you could use for a guru. It simply means father. There's nothing awe-shattering about the name Babaji. It's a very common name. There's thousands and thousands of Babajis in India. So he took a name that many already have. He wears clothes that many wear. He doesn't stand out. He doesn't draw attention to himself. He does as he pleases when he pleases. He resides wherever he pleases at that time. He doesn't seek fortune. He doesn't seek fame. He doesn't need money. He doesn't need gifts. He doesn't need support. He doesn't need friendship. He doesn't need love. But he has a lot to offer those who are seeking God. A lot. He can aid you in your aspiration immensely. He can't physically or spiritually pick you up and make you God realized, because it has to be a process. It has to be. It can't just be magic. It has to be a process because there's karma to be worked with. Karma has to be weakened and removed. You can't just forcibly yank it out of somebody. It would cause a lot of harmful psychological and emotional problems. Uh, One way to think of it is you take a wire that's good for small amperage, and you plug it into a very, very high voltage electrical source to run through it. It would burn it up. It would explode. It would catch on fire. It would destroy everything it touches. And so when we're connected to a very high voltage, high energy uh, uh, being, such as God in the higher realms, a lot of voltage goes through our system. Uh, it is conveyed somewhat here on video. You can see that there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of voltage that goes through my system. It manifests in my mannerisms. I have a lot of facial movement with my eyes and my nose and my ears, and perspiration, cold, hot, uh, twitches, jerks, because there's a tremendous amount of energy that's pulsating through my body. But I can also, if I wish, I can be completely, totally still. Uh, but when I'm moving, when I'm acting, when I'm interacting, uh, the energy is pronounced. It comes up. It comes up my sushumna, and I can feel it rising in the sushumna. This is why I've told you that many saints die of heart attacks. Yogananda died of a heart attack. Uh, Lahiri Masaya died of a heart attack. James Lynn died of a brain aneurysm. Swami Vivekananda died of a brain aneurysm. It's due, from what their disciples said, is a large amount of energy, shakti, being concentrated in their brains. And I just know from my own experience, when shakti comes up, I can have it can induce a heart attack, because the heart attacks that I've had while giving satsang. I feel exactly uh, how it happens, and I feel it happening. Um, so you have to be uh, uh, somebody who's very, very prepared in order to be a guru. So do they, in their life, in their practical life, if you want to judge somebody, are they a guru or are they an avatar? Look at the body of their life. Look at the work of their life. What kind of childhood did they have? How were they raised? What kind of schooling did they have? Friendships, relationships. What were they like? And those will have certain characteristics. But of course, there's lots of uh, variables with that. Uh, Myself, at a young age, I was already living with Mahatmas. Uh, at a young age, I had already renounced the world. That's extremely rare. That doesn't happen very often, especially if you don't live in India. And even in India, it doesn't happen very often. Uh, Another characteristic is I hate talking about myself. I don't like talking about myself. When I talk about myself, it took a long time for me to get used to starting to talk about myself. I do it freely now because I've I started doing it 14 years ago. It took me a couple of years to get used to it. Uh, Now I talk about myself. Uh, I don't identify with what I'm talking about. Uh, you can see from that their thoughts, that their voice is always inspired. It can be inspired in happiness. It can be inspired in inspiring things. It can also be inspired by pain. It can also be inspired by arguments, disagreements, weather. There's a multitude of things that can inspire you. To think that only good things inspire you is totally, completely not true. Think of all the bad things that have inspired you greatly. Most of my inspirations have come from so-called bad things. But I've had so many good things that have inspired me also. But I understand that bad things, when they happen to me, I experience a real influx of available inspiration to grow, inspiration to immediately act correctly, move in the right direction, see more clearly. So the bottom line, to simplify it, is don't believe what people say about spirituality. Just don't believe it. Allow yourself to believe it if it's true. Don't shut your mind off. Don't shut your heart off. So I can be in a relationship with a spiritual person that has lots and lots and lots of negatives. And I can have a relationship with them, but I only take the little kernels of good. I'll just take the little kernels of sugar, and the rest of it I ignore it, so I don't have a problem with it. But you can't. Most people can't do that. It takes a. It's something that's acquired. Backwards. I was just trying to get to this book. Okay, there we are. Paramahansa Yogananda, I have no doubt whatsoever, was a perfect master. Direct disciples of Ramakrishna had nothing good to say about Yogananda. They did not like Yogananda. They didn't like anything he did. He tried to be friends with them. He sent them gifts because they're all alive at the same time. And Ramakrishna's disciples were coming to California. They set up Vedanta there in California, and they wouldn't meet with Yogananda. They didn't like the way that he taught. How strange, isn't that strange? You think, well, Ramakrishna's disciples are very highly evolved. Wouldn't they see the purity of Yogananda and the good intentions of Yogananda? Well, they didn't. I can understand it because they were taught a different way. And they were taught a different way by Ramakrishna personally. But what does it matter? They're not working together. They're not teaching together. They have different disciples. They have different students. The ones that come to the disciples of Ramakrishna are different than the ones that come to Yogananda. Some can be like myself that go to both because I've been initiated by both, and I see both of them perfectly blending together completely without any opposition whatsoever. But why Ramakrishna's disciples couldn't see that? It's because of the time that they lived in. That's a lot to do with it. In more modern times, you're more versed in all the different varieties that spirituality can showcase itself in. So there's very few people on this earth that are really sincerely interested in God realization. And there's very, very, very few people, 7 in total, at all times, that have God realization on this earth. So out of 7 billion plus 7 isn't very much. Uh, why people have an obsession with uh, a guru, I don't understand. Uh, I never had an obsession with a guru. I, I never thought I would have a guru. I never thought that I was developed enough to have a guru. So I never thought it as even a possibility. But I did know that there were certain things I could do, and so I would do those. That's what I would concentrate on. That's what I cared about. I could do sadhana. I could do that. I could uh, uh, live a proper life, meaning not speaking, renouncing everything, uh, not having friends, not caring about relatives, not caring about my mother, not caring about my father, not caring about my brother, not caring about my children, not caring about my wife, uh, not caring about friends, uh, only putting all of my uh, uh, life into the efforts of sadhana, listening for satsang at every opportunity, not listening to spiritual banter or spiritual nonsense. And so much of it is nonsense. Any of the spiritual talk that puts an emphasis on externals should be avoided. So I did that, uh, and I practiced myself in the ice closet in the pantry, and things just started to happen for me, and have continued to happen my whole life. Uh, so some say, "Well, you traveled to the other side of the world." Well, that wasn't my intention. I was given a ticket. Uh, uh, Maggie, I don't remember her last name, uh, bought me a ticket for India for New Delhi and gave me some money, and so I was off to India. And I didn't go there looking for a guru. I just went there and slept at Ram Leela grounds. And then some sadhus came across me and saw me there and told me it was dangerous and to come to their ashram. So they took me to their ashram. And then that led to meeting their gurus and then relocating to their other ashram in Haridwar and living there with their gurus and living with their uh, 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 other Mahatmas, all doing spiritual sadhana, all doing the same spiritual sadhana, spiritually enlightened Mahatmas, secret Mahatmas, uh, everybody living for that purpose. So I was living in that environment, in that situation. That all came about because that's what I desired with my heart. That's what I wanted. Against all odds of everybody else, of all the naysayers. And everybody was a naysayer. My parents thought I was crazy. My school teachers thought I was crazy, thought I was stupid. My parents thought I was stupid. They thought nothing would ever come of me, that I would be a complete, total failure. Uh, my my wife became disappointed with me because I showed no external enthusiasm for growing a family life. My children became disappointed in me because I had no interest, other than when they were little children and they needed it. I had no interest in the activities of a father. Uh, I was only interested in God realization. So you can say, well, you can be compatible with all those things. Lahiri Mahasaya was. Uh, Paramahansa Yogananda's father was. Uh, Paramahansa Yogananda's father had lots and lots of distractions. His family was a preeminent distraction. Someone asked Yogananda about those that had achieved mokta, and they said, "Surely your father's achieved mokta." And Yogananda immediately said, "No." He said he was too attached to his family. Uh, Yogananda's father lost his wife in a real uh, dramatic, unfortunate, extremely unfortunate way, uh, very suddenly, under the worst uh, possible time. Uh, he had lost friends, he had lost children. In the autobiography of Yogi, one of Yogananda's sisters passes away, and his father comes home from the office and hears that his daughter is dead. And he showed no emotion on his face. He said to his other daughter, he said, "Well, that that body is of no use to her anymore." And he went into his room and shut the door and started practicing Kriya. Uh, some people find that that's really remarkable. Uh, I don't see it as remarkable. If you live long enough, you're going to, people that you know are going to die. Family members are going to die. You start to get used to death. You start to see the reality of death, that death is coming for all of us. And there's people in your family are being plucked away or being taken away. So it becomes uh, a fact of life. You see it. So you don't react to it as much. So he had already seen the death of some of his very, very loved ones. So when his daughter dies, he saw it for what it was. It's not a time to grieve. It's a time to love her and care for her. But it's time to practice Kriya Yoga. Uh, Now that's something dramatic. Look at all the minor things that we use to keep us from practicing our sadhana. So many things keep us from practicing sadhana. And the number one thing that keeps us from practicing sadhana is just our not practicing. It's just not doing it. And it's not any more complicated than this. Over in that corner, I have when I started having leg problems, I got uh, an incline stepping machine. So you stand on it, and it's a stair climber. And my thought was, I'll get this for my health because my legs are starting to get weak, and this will strengthen my legs. Uh, and I'll exercise on this for 20 minutes every day. Well, time goes by real quick if you're concentrating on other things. So in that first month I had it, I worked out on it maybe 3 times, not 30 times, but 3 times. Second year I had it, I worked out on it maybe 2 times for the whole year. Third time I had it, I worked on it maybe 2 times for the whole year. Fourth year I had it, I worked on it maybe twice a month. And now I'm working on it every day, not even missing a day. So why is that? Why have there been days I didn't do it and there's days that I have done it? I can analyze my mind. There's only one answer to that question. It obviously wasn't a priority for me because it's there. It's not going anywhere. It's too heavy to take down the stairs. I just barely got it up the stairs all by myself, which is a miracle in itself. There's no way I could do that again. And I couldn't take it down, so it's there. So there's no valid reason to not use it. The only reason it's not used is because I choose not to do it because it's not a priority. So if sadhana is not a priority, you're inclined not to do it. It's as simple as that. And you can think of many, many, many reasons. But if you really wanted to do it, no matter what reason there possibly could be, you could do it. I guarantee you. Relatives are over, families over, conflict in the family sleeping situation. You get up early, they get up late, you don't want to disturb them. It's too hot, it's too cold, it's too wet, it's too dry. The neighbors complain about the noise. It hurts when I do it. It makes me tired. I can't sleep when I do it. You can think of all these different reasons. But if you wanted to do it, none of those reasons would even occur to you. Would not even occur to you. Wouldn't even come across your mind. You would do it because you wanted to do it, because you loved doing it. So meditation has to, at some point, I would say almost the sole purpose in your life is to learn and to start practicing sadhana every day. And to understand that you're not living your life for this life. You're living this life for your next life. Nothing that's happening in this life is that important. But everything that you do in this life is very important for your next life. We've already made a lot of mistakes in this life. Those need to be corrected by doing good things. And then we need to continue to do an abundance of good things to accumulate more and more, accumulate more and more and more good karma. Don't worry about destroying karma. Your sadhana destroys karma. Don't worry about working out karma. If there's any karma to be worked out, it's worked out naturally. And not all karma has to be worked out. If you have a Satguru working with you, a lot of your karma can be weakened and can be destroyed without being worked out. You don't have to spend your whole life. I've heard people say, "Well, my daughter-in-law or my mother-in-law or my brother or sister, I have to work out my karma with them. And I just have to stick it out and work out my karma with them." That's not very good reasoning. First of all, you don't. The Gita says renounce. So the first thing you can do is don't work out the karma. Simply destroy it. You destroy karma by renouncing it. As soon as you renounce it, it's destroyed. A Satguru can inspire you to do that, can inspire you to renounce. So if I have a problem, like I had a big problem with my brother. He was 6 years older, but I didn't have the problem. He had the problem. But he did, to the best of his ability, tried to make my life as miserable as possible. But he never had any effect on me because I didn't participate. So I'm not going to leave this earth with any karma of my brother's that I have to work out. Now, he left this life with lots of karma with me, the karma that he did not work out. But I don't have any more karma with him. So you can choose just not to participate with anything that's a hindrance to your sadhana. Don't participate with it. By doing that, you make your sadhana number one. You make it first. If you make it first, God will protect you. God will take care of all the bad influences, all the bad characters in your life. And you will be tested because karma isn't God testing you. It's just simply karma trying to take over and rule your life. So it feels like a test. It feels like a difficulty. But if you surrender to God with the mindset of renunciation, none of those things bother you. And just a little bit of reason, a little bit of reflection on your own life. Let's see, I'll just use an example. Anything, and think for yourselves too, anything that bad has happened to you that evolved a lot of your mind, a lot of your thoughts, a lot of your worries, a lot of your concerns, anything that happened in the past month, maybe with a person, maybe with a situation, maybe with a disorder, an illness, maybe a financial problem that happened in the month of, this is what, August, this happened in the month of July. The problem still could be a factor in your life, but very good chance it's not even a factor in your life anymore. Something else is it. Something else has been replaced by something else. But some problems stay with us for a period of time, but they can't harm you. There's nothing in this world that can harm you. Nothing. People think the worst would be death. People are afraid of death. Death, there's nothing to be afraid of in death. Death is a good thing. You're gonna love it when it happens. It's not going to be painful. It's not going to be difficult. It's going to be joyous release into a realm that you came from, that you're very familiar with, that where all of your loved ones reside there. They're waiting for you to come back. All your animals, all the that you loved, all the things that you loved, all the are all there waiting for you, but in a pristine, beautiful environment where there is no suffering, there is no disease, there is no harm, there is no anything that disturbs your peace or your happiness or your enjoyment. That's all waiting for you. So what's important is to experience as much of life as possible in this life, which means to participate in life to its fullest. There was an ad, I remember this when I was I was quite wealthy. I was collecting Rolex watches. That was my hobby. And I remember, oh no, this was a Range Rover. I also loved Range Rovers. I had a Range Rover. And this was an advertisement for a Range Rover. And I used to work in advertising and art. It's when advertising used to be in magazines, and I would create magazine ads, illustrate magazine ads uh, for for the magazines, like Vogue and magazines like this. But this is a particular, because I was interested in Range Rover. This was the ad to entice you to buy a Range Rover. And it showed a few particular pictures. It was a well-built man. He wasn't too fat. He was athletic. He was nicely dressed. And then he was with a beautiful woman. And she was attractive. She wasn't overweight. She was also athletic. And he was driving a Range Rover out in the range, out in the fields in Britain, in England. And he had a hang glider. So he's driving his Range Rover to jump off a cliff with his hang glider. And then he goes to the ocean with his Range Rover where he has jet skis, and he's doing the jet skis. And then he goes to a plane and he with his Range Rover, and he flies up in the plane, and he parachutes out of the plane. So this is the image. He's experiencing life to its fullest. He's wealthy. He's beautiful. His wife or girlfriend is beautiful. He's doing all these exciting adventures, and he's driving the best car. He's having the best possible life. And you can have all this too if you buy a Range Rover. These are what all the ads are saying. That's your purpose of life. This is what adult human beings think. Is it true? I knew that it wasn't true when I was young. I didn't have to spend half of my life trying to figure it out. I figured it out pretty quickly. The best life, the very best life, full life, adventurous life you can possibly live as a human being is your sadhana. Now, having practiced sadhana with intensive effort for long hours, for long periods of time, uh, I can attest to all the adventures I've had, and I've had lots and lots of external adventures, tremendous external adventures, amazing things. Nothing, nothing has been as fulfilling as what I experienced in sadhana. And it doesn't have to take a long time. I started to have some good experience immediately, because someone said, well, okay, why did you have immediate experience and others don't? It's because I wanted it fully and completely and honestly. That's what I wanted. So that's where all my attention was. All of my attention was inside. I placed it inside. I placed it here. When I say inside, what did I do? Ketri Mudra with my awareness here. So everything is operating. My body's operating. My mind is operating. I'm talking. As soon as I finish talking, my tongue goes back in Ketri Mudra. While I'm talking, my attention stays here. I'm working, I'm swimming, I'm riding my bicycle, I keep my attention here. I wake up in the morning, I put my attention here. I go to sleep with my attention here. And if you do that religiously, as your religion, that's called devotion. It's also devotion to the guru, because this is what the guru's instructed you to do. If you follow the guru's instructions, then you're devoted to the guru. But what happens is that the inner spiritual realms start to unfold, and it seems like, okay, I have my life, and this is my life, and then there's what I experience in meditation. Uh, Life is real. What I experience in meditation is sometimes I might see a light, sometimes I might feel some peace, but it's nothing really remarkable. Uh, it certainly doesn't have the drama and the emotion that the outer world does. But you continue with it. And I'm telling you this from experience. You continue with it. And you start the unreality of the real that you don't think is real. Some people say, well, if I see a miracle, then I can believe that the inner world is real. You just do your sadhana. If you continue with it, it starts to be prominent. How can I describe that? I can't. You can't even describe it, because when you think of sadhana, when you think of closing your eyes, you think of nothing happening. There's so much happening, so much more happening inside than there is outside, and it's all beautiful, it's all divine, and it's intricate. It isn't simple. It's simple, but also intricate and in simplicity, and there's so much to enjoy there. And it's always springtime. It's always new. It's always like a flowing river, and it's reliable. It's always there, always. When you're a child or you're doing something, you call your father to watch you do something, like hit a ball or jump or something, and your father is busy, uh, or your friend is busy. They can't come and join you in some activity. God is always there for you, all the time, all the time. And you have choice. You have free will. If you say, well, I want I want to break from God. I don't know why you would, but you say, well, I want to. You can break from God. Or you can try. Uh, so that happens. It starts to become preeminent in your life. This inner consciousness, this spiritual consciousness, and this is what realization is. It's an enlightened consciousness. It doesn't mean knowing things about the world. The world is an illusion. But why do I want to know things about the world? Why do I want to have answers to questions? There's always going to be somebody else who has more answers to questions than I have. Why do I want to know everything about the world? If there's something I want to know, then I'll study it. It's not important. You're not in this world forever. But the spiritual world is your permanent forever home. Wouldn't it be good to prepare yourself to have, you want the very best of everything in this world? Wouldn't it be smart to want the very best of everything in the spiritual world, the real world, the world that is true, the realm that is true, the place that is true and forever, where you're going to reside for eternity. You'll be there forever, forever and ever, in perfect, in perfect, no flaws whatsoever. Never any boredom, never any suffering. Just love, joy, sharing, freedom, discovering, learning, interacting, contemplating, feeling, singing, dancing, participating in every conceivable type of divine worship for eternity, with God and other divine beings as your companions. And you'll have personal companions. Some companions will be very, very, very close to you. You'll have knowledge of lots of uh, spiritual souls, because you'll be living in a spiritual realm. But some of them will be your close, intimate friends. Uh, so I see. When I was young, I knew this. I knew that life would be temporary. So I always had trouble. Uh, I did it, but I always had a slight hesitation in doing anything, because the thought immediately would come to me, uh, nothing is going to persevere. Uh, Back when I was young, I was really interested in bodybuilding, making my muscles as big as possible and as strong as possible. And I worked really hard at it. I worked out uh, at least an hour and a half, 6 days a week with heavy weights, and was building up my muscle. And every day when I would start, uh, I think, well, I'm building my muscle. I'm putting all this effort into it, but it's not going to last. I'll get older and the muscle will diminish. It's not permanent. Why am I doing it? And I say, well, I'm doing it because I enjoy doing it. And it isn't going to last, but I enjoy the process, so I continue to do it. Uh, my contemporaries at the time, I did work out at a fairly high level with professional bodybuilders back in the 1970s, and some of them went on to become friends of mine. Robbie Robinson, for example, he went on to become Mr. America, Mr. Universe, multiple Mr. Universe. Also placed very high in Mr. Olympia. Uh, and there's several others that I worked out with that were friends of mine. And remember, back then, I was a teenager, and they were just a few years older than I was. So many of them now are approaching 80 years old, and some of them are still alive. And I look at them because there's pictures of them, and they're old men, and they still have their muscle, but it's not like the muscle they had when they were 20 or 25. You can see that some muscles are still prominent, but their bodies are old. Their bodies have shrunk. Their bodies are characteristically have all the characteristics of age, but you can see that they're still fit. But they have saggy skin, wrinkly skin. That so why did they put all this effort in? was my thought as a boy. And fortunately, I realized, well, because I enjoy it, that's why, uh, not for anything permanent. So if there's anything that you do in the world, that taught me, uh, do the things that you really enjoy doing. And if there's something that you don't enjoy doing, that you have to do it, then really, really enjoy it. Make a real effort to enjoy it. Like I used to have to do some physical labor occasionally. Occasionally, I had to work, and work uh, was usually hard physical labor, and it was uh, it wasn't it wasn't in an assembly line. It was usually outside work, uh, like digging with a shovel, for example, digging trenches and things with a shovel. It's repetitive. You got the shovel, you dig in the dirt, you throw the dirt, shovel, dig in the dirt, throw the dirt. And you do that all day long. And you start to get tired, and you start to get hot, and you start to get hungry. You start to become uncomfortable, and you start looking at your watch. What time do I get off? You say, oh, 3 more hours. You continue. What time do I get off? 2 more hours. And you say, oh, only an hour left. For some reason, that last hour is starting to become kind of enjoyable because you know you're reaching the end. But I found by doing that over and over and over that I can actually enjoy being uncomfortable. I found it very interesting to be uncomfortable. I found it very interesting to be in a state of suffering. Uh, I found that there is joy in suffering, that there is joy in discomfort. I also noticed it in the auditorium when I was a child. Uh, we all had to sing in an orchestra, and we would sit in an auditorium on these hardwood benches and put on a show. And it was at night, and usually that age the kids are tired. They go to bed early, but you have to stay up, and you're singing or you're playing your music instrument, and you're sitting on this hard bench, uh, shoulder to shoulder with your friends, and you can't move. You don't have the freedom to get up. You can't go get a glass of water. You can't stretch your legs. You can't move your body at all. You can't make expressions with your face or move your shoulders. You're told to hold still. And that can be very uncomfortable, especially when it goes on hour after hour after hour. So you start to suffer and be uncomfortable. And being in those situations, I have no choice. Uh, is there anything pleasurable about this? And I found that it was pleasurable. Doing things that you don't like to do is pleasurable. It isn't forever. Your mind wants you to think that it's forever, but it isn't. Uh, be interested in what's happening. Just because it's a unique situation for the soul. The soul in the spiritual life doesn't have these experiences. Experience it and learn from it. Because when the time comes, you're going to be pulled out of the theater of this world, and you won't have the opportunity to experience the things that you're interested in. So I always enjoyed everything that I did, uh, even if it was things that I wasn't interested in. Uh, I had a job for a period of time uh, uh, in a shopping mall, big, huge shopping mall like you see in India. And it was just me at night on the night shift. And I worked the whole entire shopping. And what I did was I cleaned the floors. So I had a big, large mop, uh, and I would push mop the whole entire floor, which is a huge, huge space, and gather all the dirt up. And then I would take a wet mop, a wet mop the whole entire floor, all marble, huge, hundreds and hundreds of square feet. And then I would take a buffing machine, You spray a wax on the floor, and you have this big orbital buffing machine that polishes it. And you did that at night. It's a night shift. Started at when the mall closed, which was at 9 o'clock, until uh, I would have the work completed 6 a.m. the next morning. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Main reason I enjoyed it is because nobody was there. I was by myself, and I always preferred being by myself. So I was able to work by myself without having to interact with anybody. Uh, and then I learned how to do the job better. I learned how to burn better, how to clean better. I learned how to mop properly and what mixture of cleaning product to use. And then most of all, the orbital buffing machine. I absolutely love that because it's very difficult. It's like flying. It's like flying a helicopter. Uh, if you've ever tried one, you'll see what I mean. You have to have it perfectly balanced. It's a very powerful machine, and you have to have it perfectly balanced because the wheel's turning on the floor at a high RPM, and it'll just like boom to the side. So you have to put it in that sweet spot. In the sweet spot, there's no effort. But if it's just slightly off angle, it'll fly off. So you find that sweet spot where it feels like you're right, like you're flying a helicopter. And then you see just how beautiful the floors are. So when you finish the job at night, the floors are like the Taj Mahal, and they're sparkling. So I found that very enjoyable. But to most people, it's drudgery. It's a horrible job. It's a work of drudgery. Well, I loved it. I would like to do it again. Uh, so anything that you find, any situation that you find yourself in that you have to do what you have to do for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months. Uh, uh, Always aspire and always make efforts to make it better, and I'll always uh, uh, with inspired uh, uh, ideas improve your situations to where you can do the exact thing that you want to do. Like if you want to have a particular job in a particular field, if that's what you really want, you can do it. If you put your mind to it, you can do it and do that. That's God calling you to do that, to overcome certain obstacles, uh, to achieve excellence in whatever field it is. I did that with bicycles. Uh, I, I wanted to be the very, very best. And it's a very complex field, professional bicycles, and, and very difficult and requires a lot of skill, a lot of training, a lot of specialty tools. And I wanted to be the best in building wheels, building the best wheels, and with consistent effort over a fellow named Dave. When I got a job in that shop in Bicycle South, he was definitely very advanced in the mechanical work that he was doing. Uh, I asked him every question. I spent as much time with him. I pestered him. He taught me everything that he knew, and then I expanded on that, and I tried to improve that. And I came to where I was the best. Uh, I don't think anybody in the world was better than I was. And I could go back right now, and I could do it again if I wanted to get a job in a bicycle shop. Even though the technology's changed, I could go get even at my age, I could go get a job at a bicycle shop. They would look at me and they say, "No, you're too old." And within 5 minutes, I would be hired. I know exactly how to be hired, and that they would enthusiastically hire me. And I would probably double the income of that bicycle shop within 3 months, uh, all because of my confidence in the work that I put in previously and developed a skill that gave me the confidence that I can replicate that anywhere, anytime. Maybe a little bit different than when I was 25 or 30. Uh, Maybe not quite the hands-on uh, work involved, but I could have other people uh, working under me that I could be instructing, supervising, and then helping out. Uh, but I could do that. Uh, Anything that you're interested in, you can do it. If you have a real interest in it, you can do it. Whatever it is that you want, no matter how hard it may seem to be. Uh, my family, because my complete total lack of interest in school, and I mean none, and many classes I didn't even go to. It was a real problem for the teachers and especially for my parents. Uh, they had special teachers counsel me and talk to me and encourage me and work with me and try with me. And I was always good in art, so they said, well, it's hopeless. We'll just give you more periods of art. So I had 3 periods of art, which I enjoyed doing. They said, well, his father's a famous artist. He can be an artist. Uh, but they never thought I would be successful because I had no interest in success. Um, as I started to get older, my brother would talk about uh, his favorite subject uh, when he would come to visit, money. That's all he talked about was money. His whole life was all about money, and it wasn't about earning money. It was about saving money. Uh, how a person could be so interested in money, but not willing to do the work to earn it, and just make money by saving money by spending absolutely nothing whatsoever. Uh, I never understood that concept, but that's what he did. And so that's always talked about how much he didn't spend for this, how little this cost him. Uh, this is when he would get together with my parents. I had lunch for 55 cents. Is all my lunch cost. My dinner only cost $1. I bought these shoes for $3, and then he would save all of the money. Uh, I had no interest in any of that, but I was around the talk with money that, oh, your brother has money and you don't have any money. Uh, I said, well, I'm not interested in money. I don't need money. Now, look how well your brother's doing. He's making money. So finally, I got in a position where I started, because of the work, still wasn't interested in money, but the work started paying me uh, money. And then the money started increasing because I worked on commission, and it started to increase, and it started to increase very rapidly. And I started making hundreds of thousands of dollars every year, which back in the 1980s, uh, to make hundreds of thousands of dollars every year is a lot of money back then. I mean, you were wealthy if you made that much money back then. Uh, so I felt uh, really pleased with myself, and it encouraged me to work even harder and to make even more, to see just how much I could do, how much money I could make. I did it for the fun of making money. I never used it. I gave all the money away. I bought a few things that I liked, like the watches and the cars, but I never went shopping or anything. I never had any interest like that. Uh, but I was told I couldn't do. I was always told I couldn't do it, but I did it. But I never told my mother and father how much money I made. It was never important to me that they knew. So when the family get-togethers came, I didn't say, "Oh, brother, how much money are you making?" And he would say, and said, "Well, I'm making 8 times more money than you do." I never said that. I never even told anybody how much money I was making. I was doing it for the right reason. So all sorts of things that we think can be obstacles or traps to our sadhana can actually be uh, helpful. We we have to do certain actions in this world. We can't only do sadhana unless you're in the position to do that. Most of us are in the position we're in because it is the best position for you to be in. If you're in a boring position, it's because that's the best position for you to be in at this time. You can learn a lot from being bored. Uh, if you're in a hard working environment, that's the best position for you to be in. Understand that you're in the best position that you are. Stop looking at what displeases you about it and change it. The things that you don't like about it, change it. Don't think that you don't have the power to change it. When I would go into a bicycle shop and nobody knew me, and I convinced them to hire me, I I took over that whole entire bicycle shop. I took over that business. I took it over from the owners, uh, just by the sheer force of interest, because I was so highly interested in making it better. And they all loved it. They let me do it because they saw that their business was getting better. Uh, so in any field that you're in, don't feel that you progress because you're meeting a quota of somebody's standards. Always look at always look at your work with creativity. And creativity, uh, just like in floor maintenance, there's creativity in floor maintenance. I learned how to do it better and faster. Uh, Sales, I became interested in sales, working with people and selling. I became really good at it. I worked on commission. I saw uh, uh, the things that you should do and the things that you shouldn't do to close sales, and how to close a sale and to ask for the sale, to get to make it happen, and to get whatever you're selling, to make sure that that's the right thing for that person by asking them questions. Succeeded at that. There's nothing I haven't succeeded at. Now, anything that you succeed at, it can be taken away from you. Just like you can succeed in becoming Mr. Universe, but your muscles will be taken away from you. So understand it from that perspective, that whatever you do succeed at, the accomplishment of whatever you created can and will be destroyed at some time. But what you learned by being involved in the process, you will never lose that. You'll have that forever. So that's the purpose of life: is working hard, be inspired, uh, uh, accepting every challenge that comes your way. Never never have a sense of defeat. Never have a never have a feeling of victimhood. You're not a victim to anything. Anything that can happen to anybody. Uh, Things are happening to everybody. You're thinking that you're a victim because you're thinking that others are in a better position than you are, or got in a better position. There's nobody in the world who's in a better position than you are. Not one person. Uh, I mean, I understand all the different positions in India, for example. Some of the really uh, uh, positions of extreme poverty and positions of extreme wealth. You know, the certain area in uh, Mumbai, for example, are very, very wealthy people that are in Delhi and the different cities, and what their lives are like, and also in America. Uh, I know what their lives are like, and I know what the lives are like for those in extreme poverty too, because I've lived in extreme poverty in India also. Uh, as extreme as anybody else's poverty in India, I lived happily, and I've lived in extreme wealth, uh, not as a billionaire, but as a millionaire. And I've lived happily in that situation too. If there's any situation that I can't be happier. And my only concern is of the unknown. What about my next life? That's my concern. Now, that's a legitimate concern. I want my next life to be fantastic. I want my next life. Well, I know exactly what I want. It always helps to know what you want, to define what you want, to be able to verbalize it. If you're not able to verbalize it, then what's to come is going to be kind of vague. And I can't think of anything worse than a vague future. There's nothing in the scriptures that says anything about vagueness, that your future in God will be vague. I know exactly what I want, just as I knew what I wanted in this life. In my next life, I want to be with divine beings. I don't have a particular divine being, a preference for. All the divine beings that I can possibly meet, be with, spend time with, experience life with, uh, in a higher spiritual realm. And I'll let God pick out whatever realm it is that He thinks is best for me. Yes, He'll make the best choice. Divine Mother will make a better choice than I do. But I want it to be a spiritual realm, which I'm very confident that it will be. I don't have any doubts about that. And then I want to be with spiritual companions that I worship God with, where we as devotees worship our guru, worship the divine beings, worship God together, collectively. I want to be with other devotees, and then I want to be in also in beautiful locations, beautiful natural locations, mountains, oceans, uh, rivers, uh, beautiful places um, in the divine realms. And I also want to have a few very close, intimate, personal uh, friends in the divine realms. And that's what I want. I, I can't say for sure that that's what I'll have, because nobody knows for sure where they're going to go when you leave this earth. But that's what I want, and I feel pretty confident about it. And one thing you might have noticed is that I didn't say that I want to continue to be a guru. That's not on my list. I don't care about not being a guru. It wouldn't bother me at all. Uh, I don't have a preference for it, so it's not a necessity for me to be me. Uh, if I am gonna help others, I can help others just as well without being a guru. The guru is just it's a title, it's a name. Uh, it doesn't even have to be used. You don't have to say guru. And and the language uh, uh, of human language, the word guru is extremely meaningful. Very few understand how meaningful it is. Uh, it's very rare, very powerful, a real boon to whoever encounters a real guru. Uh, some will recognize it, and some won't recognize it. Uh, but it's a rare occurrence. I could think, well, uh, is it a rare occurrence for me? It most absolutely is a rare occurrence for me. Uh, it's demonstrated to me every day how rare it is. Uh, that wisdom is very difficult to find. Uh, Deception, ignorance is very easy to find. Lies are very easy to find. Foolishness is very easy to find. Deceptiveness is very easy to find. Or just plain ignorance, stupidity is very, very easy to find. It's very, very rare to find somebody who's wise. You can find some people that are intelligent. Intelligence doesn't mean very much. Uh, Intelligence doesn't help you very much when it comes to realization. Uh, Simplicity of heart uh, is the most important thing. Being intelligent helps you in the world. Being intelligent doesn't help you in spiritual realization. So I've never. Occasionally, somebody will after meeting me, they'll mention how intelligent I am, and I'm not intelligent at all. Uh, I'm always surprised when they say that. I think they mistake wisdom for intelligence. Is what it must be. I'm certainly not intelligent. I have a certain degree of intelligence, but I know that in many areas I lack intelligence. I'm unable to figure things out, for example, that a more intelligent person could. But there's so many things that I can figure out that intelligent people can't figure out because they're bogged down in the details, whereas I see the essence. So it's been demonstrated to me that I can go into any situation, any corporate situation, uh, any situation of power with corporate presidents, uh, 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 in any type of industry, and I can very easily uh, help them in their business without having without having very much knowledge about their business. I could go into the situation, I could perceive the essence of what is happening, and the essence is what I always see, and the essence is where the lack of the essence is where uh, they bog down and they fail. That is one reason why Elon Musk has been successful, is he said that very thing. He says, I look at the essence of things, whereas he said it's my natural uh, ability to see the essence of how things work. And then what I do is I remove all the unnecessary things before I start building what I want to build. First, I remove all the unnecessary things. Uh, and he went at quite length. He was referring to the car business, and he went at quite length describing those things. Uh, but every single one of you have extraordinary uh, uh, grace, extraordinary, perfect protection from any harm. You're put in difficult situations because it's really good for you. Understand that God knows what is happening with you at all times, and He's uh, there for your success uh, to endeavor and stay the course in any difficult situation. Meaning, don't don't lose sight of your primary purpose, which is your sadhana. Uh, endure the problems that you can't change, and then change the things that you can. But don't let any of it disturb your sadhana. Uh, and it's easy not to. Just make your sadhana the priority. That's all. If it's the priority, how can anything disturb it? Do you understand how simple that is? If it's the priority, nothing can disturb it. Uh, you could say, well, my daughter is my priority. Well, there's lots of things that can disturb that. Your daughter could get older and decide, well, Dad, I like being with my friends more than I like being with you. Or I want to go off to college, or I want to marry this man. And so dad becomes less and less of a priority. Things like that can happen. But your sadhana, uh, or your sadhana ever say that to you? Or your sadhana ever say that, I've outgrown you, you're not as important to me? Uh, Sadhana is God communion, is what sadhana is. It's time spent with God. Uh, just a practical example. Uh, very often during the day, I close my eyes frequently during the day, just like this. And I see the most wonderful, tremendous things. Beautiful divine beings in divine places doing divine things. Divine animals, divine skies, divine nature, divine souls. I open my eyes and I'm back in the world. And then I can close my eyes again. And I can continue with the same place or I can move on to other places. And it's all very, very real. As real as this. And that I see all the time. Now, that wasn't always the case. Uh, for decades, it, what I saw was my own thoughts. What I saw were my own uh, uh, needs, my own wants, my own desires, my concepts, my ideas of certain things. That's what I saw. When I closed my eyes, I would just see my own thoughts, my own desires, my own hurts, my own pleasures. I didn't see into the inner realm. So, but through sadhana, I started peering into the inner realms. And it's a slow process to really become fully involved in the inner realms. It happens slowly, but one step by one step by one step, consistently, consistently, consistently. Without you knowing it, you're getting closer and closer and closer. And the inner realms are opening and touching you and feeling you, and you're feeling them and more deeper. Sometimes you'll have a setback, something will upset you, and you'll lose your uh, uh, ability to focus because you'll be so preoccupied with whatever disaster is happening outwardly, emotionally or physically or whatever. Uh, but as you go on, those disasters there and those difficulties are no longer disasters and difficulties. You see them for what they are. So, well, this is just another occurrence on the outer on the outside of my windshield. Anything can happen on the outside of my windshield. I'm here inside the uh, infinite realm of the uh, protected space of purity. I'm just observing those things when I'm actively uh, driving my vehicle in the world, moving my body in the world.